All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. This is a regularly scheduled Greer City Council meeting called and convened this evening, October the 25th, 2016. Having called the meeting to order, I'd like to ask Troop 603, who has been with us before, and we're glad to have you folks back with us. Troop 603 is sponsored by Grace United Methodist Church, and their leader is Jeremy Jordan. I'm going to ask them if they would lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and then Kimberly Bookert, Councilwoman from District 3, is going to pronounce an invocation for the council. So if you would, please stand and join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Lord, we come before you now as humble as we know how, again saying thank you for this beautiful day you've allowed us to see. God, we thank you for our life, our health, and our strength. God, we ask that you bless each one of our employees in the city of Greer. God, we ask that you touch them in a special way. God, we thank you for this body that you have assembled here today. God, we ask that you keep directing us and doing the way that you would like the city to go. And it is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, fellas. We appreciate you leading us in our pledge this evening, and for joining us as well, too. Welcome to come back and join us anytime as you work on the various different aspects of scouting that are related to your civic responsibilities and duties. Can't think of a better time or a better place to see government in action than at the local level. So I hope you will remember that. Ms. Adams, we have anybody to appear in public forum this evening? With that, then, we'll move to the minutes of the council meeting from October 11th, 2016. Do I hear a motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any items of note for the clerk? Hearing none. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Yes.
Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. We have Ms. Adams, who is ably filling in for us and is going to do a super job, because I just saw her daughter, who is actually Superwoman. So that must mean that she is Super Mom. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. All right. I knew it. Council departmental reports are contained in your package. You've got that information from September 2016. And Mr. Sell is going to join us here at the podium with a ream of papers in his hands. So he's going to give us an update on something.
Page 1 of 150. If council will bear with me, I'd like to go ahead and take the opportunity to present the finance report tonight. David Seifert and Susan Howell are both at a conference this week, but we'd like to go ahead and present the information for you. In looking at this particular report that's contained in your packet, this is as of the end of September, which represents our first quarter in this particular budget year that we're in. Right now, as of the end of September, our general fund cash balance was $7,786,897, with general fund revenues of $1,770,564, and general fund expenditures of $4,046,054. All of these represent positive, are higher or lower than prior year experience. We currently have a budget percentage over and under of 6%, which is very good at this time. Taking a look at where our targets are at for our budget for our variances for our benchmark, the revenue benchmark variance right now is at $485,917 above target, and the expenditure benchmark variance is $585,962 below target. Again, two very good results. Currently, they both total at $1,071,879 of our overall benchmark variance. And looking at our two other funds here for hospitality and the stormwater fund, our current, as of the end of September, hospitality fund cash balance was $1,286,959, with fund revenues of $515,764 and expenditures of $226,795. In the stormwater fund, the cash balance as of the end of September was $964,122, with revenues at $8,848 and expenditures of $75,611. With that, I'll attempt to take any questions that you may have.
Council, Mike is prepared to give you the over-under on our budget, apparently.
The over-under is 6.
He's apparently ready for the weekend football games as well, too. So if you have questions about the over-under on any of the college games, he's apparently ready for that as well.
Absolutely.
So anything for Mike this evening?
Four right now for Clemson over Florida State this week.
Mr. Sell, we appreciate you filling in for our finance department this evening, and thank you for the information. Council, as we have discussed some in the past, is we are working hard down at the new Center for the Arts. We have created some spaces for artists down there, and we're fortunate to have Robin Bayuk, who is our cultural arts supervisor, with us this evening to introduce some of the new current artists who are going to be in residence at the Center for the Arts. And so, Ms. Bayuk, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to extend apologies for artists who could not make it this evening. They're in various stages of moving into the building, but I wanted to fill you in a little bit about what's happening there. We have 3 artists in residence currently. We have 2 photographers, Blaine Owens, who's been a professional photographer for over 30 years. His photography hangs in many buildings in downtown Greenville. This is going to be a second location for him. He's from Greer, and he's very excited to be here and wants to be part of our project. Our second photographer, Rachel Babb, she's young. She's not been doing photography very long. She mainly manipulates the photograph on the computer when she takes the photograph. And our third working artist is Amy Bright. She's from Greer. She is a belly dancer with Bright Eyes Arts. She does outreach through the Warehouse Theater in downtown Greenville, and she makes Celtic jewelry and design in theater. So we're very excited to have the 3 of them moved in. We currently have 3 more portfolios that are being judged this week. So in another week or 2, we should have a couple more another artists in residence. All 3 of them are painters. So that'll be some new media to put in the facility. We're having an opening on November 3rd. I hope you all will attend. Jim Quick and Coastline will be playing in the park there at the Center for the Arts from 5:30 to 7:30. The artist studios will be open. Some kids from Needmore, we hope, will be performing on the stage inside. A couple different things going on, some adult beverages, some food. It should be a nice, fun evening. A dance floor if you like to shag.
Great.
Any questions on the artists?
Questions,
please?
Council? Any questions or comments this evening? Glad to see that facility sort of coming of age, blossoming, and thank you for all the work that you've put into getting those folks in there. And I know the people from the Recreation Department have been working hard on the building as well, too. So look forward to seeing more of these kinds of events down there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. With that, we'll move to the administrator's report. Mr. Driggers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We thought this evening would be an appropriate opportunity to share with you one of our new ventures into the arts as well. As you are aware, through our budget, we do support public art, and we partner with the Partnership for Tomorrow and our Community Master Plan in that effort as well. We have a short video that we would like to share with you this evening to give you a little taste of how we're going to be moving forward here.
There's a liaison building world-class sport fishing yachts, fueled by testosterone, and was in probably one of the most guarded, isolated bubbles anybody could ever live in.
When that bubble burst, Scott was forced to shut down his business and let go 60 employees.
It was a very, very hard time.
How do you jump from assembling hulls to inspiring a bit of happiness? Well, for Scott, it happened on the way to closing the company doors for good.
I can remember exactly where I was. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I stopped at a light, and something hit me in the back of the head. It felt like somebody had taken their finger and rubbed it up the back of my skull, and said, "You're going to build a stick man." It was the most original, brilliant idea, concept that had ever entered my body. And yet it was so powerful, I couldn't resist it. For the next 2 miles to work, I started designing the stick man in my head. I had no idea how I was going to do it, what I was going to make it out of. I just knew I was going to do it.
Scott shared his idea with his most skilled foreman, Lassie Solansi. Now, being Hungarian, Lassie wondered if something got lost in the translation.
Every once in a while, I have some little words that I know exactly what it means.
But soon he and Scott were building their first stickman out of scraps of aluminum tubing with Lassie as the model.
That's why they are stored as we are. That's how we started out.
5 hours later, the first stickman was born.
That 5 hours was the first break that I had had emotionally for probably 2 years.
Scott put the friendly stickman on his dock, and it quickly drew attention.
Well, I built this one tube dude for my enjoyment. It was my oasis of fighting depression and everything. And everybody just fell in love with Stickman.
Ironically, Scott was able to muster up a symbol of high spirits at a time when his own self-esteem was at its lowest.
When your bag is empty, you're kind of like, what do I have to lose? You think about it. To create a smile is the easiest thing you can do.
Then one day his neighbor asked him to build her a tube dude to hold a mailbox.
And I thought, that's the craziest idea I've ever heard in my life.
But he built it anyway, with unexpected results.
Every day she would come home, there would be somebody parked alongside the road with their arm around her mailbox having a picture taken. She would get letters every single day. Little notes that would say, "Thanks for making me smile. I love your mailbox."
Flattering, but Scott still saw his tube dude as a respite, not revenue. Then he had an idea.
I built 4 tube dudes that held their arms over their head, and they held signs. And they said things like, smile, be nice, say thank you.
He honestly placed the dudes at busy locations with no intention of selling them. Then he observed people's reactions from afar.
One day I was close to staying on the circle. I heard this, I gotcha, over my shoulder when I was putting the last dude in the truck. And I turned around, and it was a reporter for the Herald Tribune. And he said, "Who are you, and why are you doing this?"
The president dude was outed and a cover story written.
From that point, that was when Tube Dude got its legs and started running.
And the momentum continues. Tube dudes are now in 35 states and 12 countries.
We've shipped to Australia, Poland, Norway, Germany, France. We have 6 different customers in England.
No two dudes are exactly the same. Each one is created from what Scott calls the customer's happiness aura.
That's what creates the magic. They're an extension of the person's personality, who they are, what they want. People don't buy tube dudes to make them happy. They make tube dudes to make the people around them happy. If you buy a tube dude, you already get it. You understand the power of positive thinking, grit and bear it, whatever you want to call it.
The ideas are endless.
One of the more creative ones we've done is the parasail dudes. We've done them sitting on the back of cars, sitting on Harley Davidsons. We did a mermaid.
The dude
smile, and especially a smile that's so simplistic. The only thing I couldn't do was just a giant smile and these big bright eyes. And that's the only two things you need to convey that you're happy. It's all about the power of the smile.
Power of the smile, understated, understood, and an expression that dramatically changed one man's life, figuratively speaking.
We believe that the power of the smile is a great opportunity for us here in Greer, and we have commissioned the artist to do 8 tube dudes for our community. Our recreation department has identified those initial 8 locations for us, and the artist will be visiting our community shortly, and he will see where those pieces are going. And then he will create those pieces specific to that area. So we may see a tube dude with a basketball at Victor Gym. We may see one with a tennis court over at the tennis with a tennis racket at our tennis courts, or we may see tube dude and tube dudette with a volleyball at one of our volleyball centers or at one of our soccer centers. So there's just a great opportunity for us to create a smile in our own community. We have commissioned 8 initial pieces with an option to do 8 additional pieces after that. We want to gauge our community's reaction, but we believe that will be favorable, and we believe that kicking off this event, along with opening our new Center for the Arts, will be a great opportunity for us as we continue to display public art here in our own community. So we are looking forward. To the artist joining us here in the next, I think, several weeks. He'll be coming in the next several weeks to spend some time with us, and then we will unveil those pieces in early 2017 as he brings those and installs them in various places of our community. So we're looking forward to it. We think this is a wonderful opportunity for us as we continue in our public art projects. One of the things that I do need to share with you this evening, by coincidence, at a meeting recently, Councilmember Albert shared with me a letter that she received from the Department of Revenue. And literally said, has anyone else seen this? And they had not. Administration had not received the letter. It had not gone to any other members of our elected body. But it was a very important letter. So I really am glad that you were able to share that with us. I'd like to ask Mike if he would again come to the podium. We have some additional information to share with you concerning that letter. And it's a matter that we are going to need to work with other municipalities within the state, as well as we're going to have to work with some of the counties in the state on this matter as well. But I think it would be best if we can give a little bit of background on it.
I get all the fun stuff. Needless to say, Mr. Driggers shared this letter with me, I believe, the morning or after he'd gotten it from Ms. Albert, and it got our attention right away. The letter was from the Department of Revenue, which, without much preamble or softening up, basically told us that the referendum that we passed in 2014 authorizing the sale of beer and wine on Sundays at retail stores was invalid. That we used language that was not the right language, that we referenced the wrong part of the code. So I immediately began digging into my files to see, what did we do back then, and was pretty confident that we had crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. So I pulled my files, and lo and behold, we had submitted not only to our city attorney, but to the Department of Revenue the language that we were going to use. So I immediately called the gentleman from whom the letter was from and said, what's going on? What is the story? We were hoping that there was a mistake. You got us confused with somebody else, or something. After talking with him a little while, it became clear that there was some additional information that was in the letter as well, which was an Attorney General's opinion that had been obtained by the city of Clemson. The city of Clemson was in the process of doing the very thing that we had done in 2014. One of the issues that they had was that they had previously passed the ordinance authorizing bars and restaurants for Sunday alcohol sales a couple years earlier. And their question was that because that resulted in a positive result, were they still limited by the clause in the law that said you had to wait 48 months to bring another alcohol referendum to the people? The Attorney General's opinion is that yes, it doesn't matter whether it's a negative or a positive result, you still have to wait 48 months, and they were not within that 40, they were only 2 years rather than 4 years. And the Attorney General said, while we're at it, let's go ahead and let you know about another error that is in the law, and that is in regards to the clause that was being used not only by our referendum, but referendums that were held in the city of Travelers Rest, the city of TK, I believe the city of Beaufort, and two big fish in the boat was Horry and York County. Both of them, all of them had used the same language. In fact, we took our example ordinance from York County. And it basically said that you incorrectly referenced the code. Just to let you know, there's 3 options that you can do to implement, to authorize Sunday alcohol sales, be they on-premise or off-premise. We did, in 2010, the on-premise consumption at bars and restaurants. That is option 1. It asks, shall it be okay to have bar and restaurant sales on Sundays in the city on Sundays? And it has the language that you use. The part B is that question plus the question to ask whether or not you want to not only do it in on-premise, but to do it off-premise. So you can ask both questions at the same time. The third option says you can ask the question for off-premise by itself, but you have had to have had the on-premise part in place in 1993, June 21st, 1993. In crafting the ordinance and the referendum question that we used the language that was provided to York County and approved by DOR that kind of tried to navigate through that so that it would ask the right question even though it had that 1993 clause in it. DOR was comfortable with that until they got the Attorney General's opinion. Their response to the Attorney General's opinion was that although we were in the boat with you and we approved this, as of June 30th, 2018, we will no longer issue permits for off-premise sales unless you do one of 2 things. One, the law gets changed and retroactively, or you hold a new referendum. Of course, both of those options seem kind of daunting, especially the holding an additional referendum. However, in talking with the gentleman at DOR who is heading this effort up, he is in close contact with York County and with Representative Tommy Pope, who is willing to submit legislation clearing the law up. They realize there are some disconnects and that they need to clear up the language because it not only affects those cities and counties that I mentioned, but it could potentially affect a lot of other municipalities which currently have on-premise sales but don't have off-premise, that have no other option other than to ask the on-premise question again in conjunction with the off-premise question. So in other words, if we were to hold a referendum that asked the question, you could potentially invalidate the previous question that was asked in 2010 because you have to ask them both together. So you could have somebody say, yeah, I agree with what we did for the bars and restaurants, but I don't want retail sales. The referendum could fail, and then you also knock out what had been approved previously. They know that's an issue, and they're trying to get it cleared up. A lot of bigger municipalities in the state, like the city of Greenville, Spartanburg, Simpsonville, all these municipalities that have done on-premise sales in the past, they don't have any other option other than ask those questions together again if they want to proceed that way. They want to submit language to clear that up and to remove the 1993 clause so that it makes it retroactive that what we did to be okay. We are in the process of working with the Municipal Association, letting them know the effort that's being made with York County and with Representative Pope, and the potential to affect the other municipalities that are currently being affected and the ones that potentially could be affected, to get them on board, to get their help. And we also are going to approach our own legislative delegation to get their support as well for getting this fixed. DOR has prepared the language. They have went through their legal counsel to draft that language up. That language and the proposed changes have been given to Representative Pope with the intention of getting that bill filed this session in order to get it changed. That's basically where it's at right now. I do not know if the bill's been filed yet. We're keeping an eye on it to see what's going on, and we'll keep you up to date as it progresses. But one of the things that I asked the gentleman at DOR was that if the law does not get changed, we are in a little bit of a bind because the cutoff date's June 30th of 2018. Because of the 48-month clause, we would not be able to hold a referendum until November of 2018. So I asked them that if the law did not get changed, that if they could extend that cutoff period to December 31st, give us enough time to get another referendum if we have to go that route. I have not gotten a response back. They feel confident that they're going to be able to get this moved through the legislature. It's really some technical changes. It does not change the nature of what the intent of how the laws were set up. It just clears up the process to get it done because the process is in conflict with what the current environment is for a lot of municipalities and counties that have passed different laws at different times and split them up. If they don't make changes to the law, then we would take a look at getting a referendum in place as soon as possible. We hope to avoid having a period of time from June 30th till then to where we did not have off-premise sales taking place. We'd hate to stop issuing permits, go 3 months, have a positive result in a referendum, and to be able to issue again. They understand that being a concern, and they said they would review the possibility of extending the deadline once they know whether or not the effort to get the law changed moves forward or fails. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Are they going to let the Attorney General see this before they submit it for legislation?
You know, I asked that very question too. I said, you know, is it going to the Attorney General's office? And they said that their legal counsel is in contact with the Attorney General's office to make sure that what they're proposing would be acceptable. Yes, sir.
Well, we do know from past experience that they can fast-track legislation.
Yes, they can. And at that point, in fact, this was not long after a previous example of that. So I said, you know, if everybody's on board, it should go pretty fast. We hope that's the case.
We are affected by it, obviously, but some big players, Horry County particularly, York County, they are confident that they will be able to move this through legislatively. In their words, it's a fix to a faulty piece of legislation. And that does happen, and it's not unusual, and the legislature is used to dealing with that. We have contacted our colleagues at the Municipal Association, and they will be doing the same with folks at the Association of Counties, asking those two lobbying groups to help make sure that this item moves through very, very quickly. They are confident that that will happen, but they have an obligation to make us aware that it is legislation, and so it has to go through its process.
And I want to be clear that the question that we asked was the right question. It's just it was referencing the wrong section of the code, and that's, you know, it's one of those things where it was an oversight that DOR, until they got the Attorney General's opinion that said, no, that's invalid, they were willing to say, you asked the right question. The people were able to weigh in with what you were trying to accomplish. It's just because of that technicality, they were kind of being sticks in the mud about it. So they had no choice but to comply with what that opinion was from the Attorney General.
And their remedy is basically to make those actions effective 1993.
Yeah, it'll
be
be
that is the
retroactive,
effect of what it does.
Any idea when Horry County's 48 months runs out?
I think that it would probably be, they would not have the problem we have. I don't know that.
I think they were
can't
before
imagine
us.
They did not.
They will have a lot of clout changing this, I'm sure.
I'm sure they will.
And I'd hate for them to be able to do a referendum to clear theirs and, you know,
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
And I kind of thought that date was in reflection of maybe what York County and Horry County were experiencing. But I know that the City of Travelers Rest is in the exact bind that we're in, along with TKK. I don't know about Buford. I'm not sure what their exact issue is because there's two parts. One is the 1993 issue, and one is that they think they used question A when they should use question B or something like that. So they might have a slightly different problem. If I can't imagine that they're recommending all the changes together. So I hope that they don't just pick one part of it and not do the other part.
Did you
But
find
we're
out?
keeping an eye on it.
Did you find out why GD got the letter?
I asked, I said, why did you, I said, is it alphabetically? We didn't, it's like we couldn't figure that out. Thank you for at least,
Take your time to
asking
read
the
it.
question.
right.
Yes.
Thank you for not considering it junk mail.
Yeah,
Didn't throw it away.
What did I do?
She saw DOR, she thought it might be a check or it might be asking for money, But once as we get information, we'll continue to share with council any updates that we have.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Sell. Couple of items just to make you aware of. Last month we did hold our annual GovDeals surplus auction sale. That ran for a couple of weeks and concluded with income of $33,480.79. That was some of our surplus, particularly some of our surplus vehicles that we've taken offline and then some equipment. But that was our annual surplus auction. As you saw a little earlier, we have a number of folks, superheroes and such, out in our community tonight. They are celebrating the Trick or Treat on Trade event. That is sponsored by Greer Station Association, and if you had any difficulty getting into City Hall this evening, it's because there are thousands of children downtown tonight. It is a full house. Glad to have all those folks in our community and celebrating and having a good time. That'll continue as they go into the weekend, the Halloween Hoopla event, which is now an annual event for us that we partner with a local church on. That Halloween Hoopla event is this Saturday here at City Park. And we'll have a whole lot of these same children back here in the park on Saturday. As was mentioned a little bit earlier, our auditorium project, our Center for the Arts, we will be doing a dedication and unveiling of that property with music and entertainment, and we look forward to doing that on November the 3rd. We certainly hope that you will enjoy that evening and will join us for that, and we'll certainly be inviting our entire community to come out and participate in that as well. Our Chamber First Friday event is the following day, November the 4th. It's a very important meeting for us as a community. We'll be giving an update on our community master plan. We are moving along in that project, and we think it's a good opportunity to share with our community. So if you would like for us to assist you in making arrangements to attend that First Friday event for the Greater Greer Chamber of Commerce, that's November the 4th, and we will be glad to do that for you. The following week, we do ask you to place on your calendar one of those events that we so much enjoy doing each year, and that is celebrating and recognizing our veterans that are part of our team. So our employees will be invited in, those who have served in the armed forces at some point during their career. They will be invited in to be recognized and honored, and we would love for you to join us. We'll be doing that as a luncheon on Friday, November the 11th on Veterans Day. And then the following week, our Chamber Business Awards, which we are a sponsor of that event as well. That'll be taking place down at the Cannon Center, and that'll be the evening of Thursday, November 17th. We'll have some additional information coming out to you on that event, but we certainly hope that you'll be able to join us for that night of celebration with many of our local businesses. Did have an opportunity last week to spend some time in a staff retreat. We were involved for about 2.5 days with a number of our folks, revisiting, making sure that we are on course with our budget, making sure that we are on course with our strategic plan, and most importantly, making sure that we are in concert with your directives and your policies that you are setting. That group meets annually here in the fall, and then, of course, part of that process will be our preparing for your annual retreat, which is usually in February, early March in 2017. So we'll be getting that on your schedule very shortly as well. But that was a very productive time for us to spend with our staff. One of the things that we did mention earlier, and we spent some time during that retreat talking about, is how we intend to highlight some of our departmental activity reports. We mentioned to you that we intended to do that. That will begin next month. That will take place at the second meeting of the month when those activity reports appear on your agenda. We will be separating those by departments and spending some time highlighting what is in those reports, information that we have there. If there's particular items in those reports that is of particular interest to you and is important to you, we want to make sure that we're maintaining that information. But we also want to make sure if there are ways that we can improve those reports, that we get feedback from you as well. Those are reports that we prepare for our community. We use those as part of our benchmarking process and evaluating our overall performance. But they are also there, and most importantly, they are there for you, so that you have an idea of what our staff is involved in on a month-to-month basis. And then, of course, you are aware that each of our departments come in annually to do an annual report, and then we produce a citywide annual report that we are working on now that will be published for year 2016. You are aware that we have some folks that have been dispatched to one of our partner cities in South Carolina. I sent a communication to you that we did indeed receive a request from the town of Mount Pleasant for some assistance with those folks. Wanted to share a little bit of information so you can see that we have 2 crews that are in Mount Pleasant now. They will be working about 60 hours this week. Those 4 individuals, those 2 crews have knuckle boom trucks, hauling equipment, chainsaws, and they are a great aid to the town of Mount Pleasant as they are trying to uncover from Hurricane Matthew. There are teams from the city of Greer that are in Mount Pleasant this week. There are also teams from the city of Anderson, and there are also teams from the city of Rock Hill. They had a great deal of debris that they had to deal with there in the community. They thought that they were going to be able to handle that, as I reported to you a couple of weeks ago, and then they came back and said, no, we indeed do need some assistance. As you are aware, in our agreement, we will be reimbursed for all expenses associated with our assistance to them. They are prepared to reimburse us for all of those expenses, but they needed to be able to mobilize very, very quickly. One of the things that we found this week is that our crews are being recognized there in the area. And one of the things I wanted to share with you this evening was a telephone call that we received yesterday from a resident there in the town of Mount Pleasant.
Today is Monday. It's 3 o'clock. They were just good guys. You know, they were doing their work. Their shirts were tucked in. Their vests were clean, and we're pretty proud of those same public services here in Mount Pleasant. But anyway, just want to give you a shout out and give those 2 guys a high five. All right, thanks for you guys helping your assistance down here in Mount Pleasant. Hope you have a great week. Peace.
So it was good for us to and we will share that information with our team that's down there. They are scheduled to return on Sunday. Later in the week, representatives there will determine if they need some additional assistance. If they do, we will probably leave that equipment and we'll send a fresh crew down to help them for an additional week. But they'll make that determination here by week's end. Our 2 crews are scheduled to completely clean 4 subdivisions in the town of Mount Pleasant. They have been assigned 4 individual subdivisions, and their mission, their job this week is to get those 4 completed. And they're reporting back to us that they're moving through that very, very well. So glad that we were able to help a sister city in South Carolina that needed some help. Also tonight, I would like to share with you an additional award that we have been recognized for. It seems like we're on a roll with some of those, so I've asked Ms. Cunningham if she would come and share some information on one that we're very, very proud of.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Needmore After School Program partnered with Live Well Greenville, their out-of-school time work group, starting with the school year 2015-2016. And the partnership was to promote healthy eating and active living to our children and to incorporate lessons to teach those topics into our curriculum. Our Needmore Recreation Center staff members went through CATCH, which stands for Coordinated Approach to Child Health Care Training, and offered by Live Well Greenville, and we had a successful first year, using our training and teaching lessons of nutrition and physical activity to our after-school participants. After an application and grading process, it was determined that the Needmore Recreation Center met Live Well Greenville's criteria regarding best practices and was awarded the silver level award and $150 from the Piedmont Health Foundation. With Justin Miller's supervision, and Claire O'Neill and India Jackson have done an excellent job teaching the importance of these lessons in our program and are making healthy nutrition and physical activity changes and improvements to our program, our children, and our community. And I wanted to ask them, I wanted to show you this tonight and certainly ask them. Justin Miller is here, as well as India Jackson, if y'all would stand up. Clara couldn't be here tonight, Claire O'Neill. We certainly appreciate all of your hard work, and we'll only continue to offer these programs. Thank you.
In conclusion, members of council, I would like to ask your consideration of one item in executive session this evening. That is for an economic development project that I need to provide information to council on that project. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. As you can see, lots and lots of good things going on in the city of Greer, from the Tube Dude to helping clean up a sister city, and awards for helping our young people to understand better what healthy eating can do for them, and as well as a number of other things. In a time when we are often bombarded with what's wrong with government, a reason to smile this evening for more reasons than one. We'll move to items of new business, the first of which is the final reading of Resolution 10-2016, a resolution to accept Woodland Ridge subdivision streets, namely Wood Hollow Circle, into the City of Greer street system. Mr. Grant?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have two subdivisions requesting the city to accept their streets for ownership and maintenance. The first one is Woodland Ridge subdivision. The construction was started on Woodland Ridge in the summer of 2013, and you can see from the picture taken last week that it's essentially completed. City staff has inspected the road construction, and we believe the streets were constructed according to the approved plans. The specific street in question is Wood Hollow Circle. It is paved 24-foot wide, approximately 1,548 feet in length. Staff recommends that this street be accepted into the city for ownership and maintenance.
Based on the recommendation of staff, I'll accept a motion to receive Resolution 10-2016.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further conversation in that regard? Hearing none. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Yes.
Bettis? Ms. Albert? Mayor Danner?
Yes. Second item before us this evening is the first and final reading of Resolution 11-2016, a resolution to accept Dillard Creek Phase 3 subdivision streets, namely Dillard Creek Court, Ermron Court, Bessie Court, into the City of Greer street system. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, the second subdivision is Dillard Creek Phase 3. Construction was also started in the summer of 2013. As you can see from the picture taken last week, it's essentially completed as well. City staff has inspected the road construction, and we do believe that the streets were constructed in accordance with the approved plans. The streets in question were Dillard Creek Court, it's a 24-foot paved street, approximately 691 feet in length. Ermron Court is paved 24 feet, approximately 1,065 feet in length. And Bessie Court is paved 24 feet, approximately 231 feet in length. Staff recommends that these streets be accepted into the city for ownership and maintenance.
Council, based on the recommendation of staff, I'll entertain a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further conversation or questions in that regard? Hearing none. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin? Ms. Bookert?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Albert? Yes. Mayor Danner?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I believe you've got some other information for us this
If
evening.
there's time available, I have an update regarding paving. Mr. Driggs had asked me to update you on some paving issues, if you'd like to take the time to hear those.
Indeed. Proceed.
Okay. For 2016, the paving program, 2016, the Spartanburg County side of the city paving was completed in July of this year. Yesterday, or this morning actually, I was notified that the Greenville side 2016 paving will be completed in the next 2 weeks, and that is coordinated by the Greenville Legislative Delegation Transportation Committee. I want you to say that 5 times fast. They should be starting in 2 weeks, like I said, and that's on the Greenville side for 2016. For the 2017 program, Spartanburg County, last week I submitted a list of streets to the county and requested funding of $250,000 for paving on the Spartanburg County side of the city. Half of that funding will be by the Spartanburg County CTC, and the other half is requested for the Greer's Road Fee funds. On the Greenville side, the Legislative Delegation Transportation Committee has not requested our list of streets yet, but I'm expecting that any day. And once they request that and then we submit it to them, I'll be coming back to you to present those lists to you. That's it.
Mr. Grant, remind me, I don't remember clearly, the digital survey that we had conducted on the Greenville County side, did that include Spartanburg County as well?
Yes,
Was that all city streets?
Yes, sir, and quickly, just an update on that. All the work has been done, the data has been collected, it's been shared with us, we've got it on our GIS. The last piece of that puzzle is I'm attending a training session next week in Greenville on the software to be able to use and manipulate that information into reports and things that we can use going forward. So it's 90% complete, and as of the end of next week, we should have everything we need to get it up and running. And I've actually used the data that we have. It's in raw format right now. It's nothing I can present to you other than a spreadsheet, but I actually used that data just looking for 2017 streets for paving, so it's already put it into use.
So moving forward, obviously Greenville County is familiar with that system. Will we be able to submit that data to Spartanburg County as well, too, when we submit our list?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Others?
Is there any way we can get a list of the Spartanburg County streets?
Yes, ma'am. I
On
can
that
send them
one?
to you.
Okay, if I could, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
We'll be glad to forward that. You may recall, we'll operate off that list a year. I mean, we'll approve it a year in advance, and then and we will work off that list until it is exhausted, and then we develop additional on that list as well. And so I think, I'm pretty sure when I was looking at this one, this would conclude all of the streets that we have previously approved on the Spartanburg and on the Greenville side, which is why we would need to bring additional streets for council's approval.
Right.
Yeah.
The list for next year will be this year's list, 2016, plus additional streets. We like to give them more streets than they can actually fund, so that therefore we make sure we use all the available monies.
The streets that we're talking about now were ones that were used by the new implementation of the truck or equipment that goes through and kind of gauges and measures the streets. Was that
the ones for next year, 2017. The ones that have been paved this year and the ones in the next couple of weeks are from last year's list.
Okay, okay.
Others? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Council, in executive session, there's a request to consider an economic development matter. We don't anticipate there'll be action in this regard. Do I hear a motion to adjourn to executive session?
A motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
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 Pettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Council, in executive session, we've considered one economic development matter. We've taken no action in that regard. To hear a motion to adjourn from executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Albert? Yes. Mayor Danner?
Yes. Stand adjourned.